Please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Good evening, you're watching CNBC TV18 and this is After the Bell. Let's take a look at the top stories that we are tracking for you at this hour.
I really don't see any major investment forthcoming.
In an exclusive interview to CNBC TV18, L&T Group Executive Chairman A.M. Naik says that the private investment in the country is a worry, as that 60 to 65% of companies who made heavy investments in the past are reeling from high debt levels. However, hopes to see GDP recover to 7.5% in the next 6 to 8 months.
The restructuring is a 30-month period.
Okay.
Within which all the companies or businesses we want to transfer or get rid of or close will be finished.
Naik says restructuring of all non-core businesses will be done in the next 30 months. 9 to 10 businesses will either be sold or closed, and number of companies will reduce by 2. Markets end flat after trading in a narrow range. Nifty consolidates around the 10,150 mark. PSU Bank's Nifty Metal underperformed, while select mid-cap stocks rally hard. Government in talks with business houses for Air India sale. Prepare joint bid by large corporate. Sources indicate to CNBC TV18 that the GOM isn't keen on demerger of international operations. Another exclusive. JP Infra creditors are in a huddle with their lenders. Creditors committee likely to seek interim funding as a resolution. Final plan needs to be submitted before the Supreme Court by October. That's an exclusive. The United Nations General Assembly is underway. US President Donald Trump says that the UN is not living up to its potential for returns on investments. All eyes now on his main General Assembly address later tonight. Also on the show, first look at M&M's driverless tractor, which was launched today. Pawan Goenka says that the company targets a penetration of 10% in 5 years. Straight on to the big exclusive interview of the day. He has served for over 52 years at engineering conglomerate Larsen & Toubro, including as its head for the last 17 years. With him at the helm of affairs, L&T's market cap increased from 4,400 crore rupees in 1999 to over 1,74,000 crore rupees in 2017. And come the 30th of September, Anil Manibhai Nayak will step down as the chairman of L&T and will assume the new role of non-executive chairman for 3 years beginning the 1st of October. He sat down with Shireen Bhan for a candid, no-holds-barred interview. Nayak said that all non-core businesses of L&T will be restructured within the next 13 months, and that entailed that around 9 to 10 businesses would either be sold off or shut down. That's not all. Nayak is confident about the group achieving a market cap of 2.5 lakh crore rupees by 2021. He also expects L&T's finance business to hit the 50,000 crore rupee marks in market capitalization target in the next 2 years. On the issue of stressed assets, Nayak said that L&T has started looking at some of these firms and added that L&T could actively consider buying government stake in BEML. But he ruled out any considering buying stake in national carrier Air India. Nayak sounded a warning bell, though, when asked about private investment picture. He said that he does not see any major private sector investments forthcoming, as 60 to 65% of companies who made heavy investments in the past were reeling from high debt levels. Nayak also revealed a lighter side of himself during the interview, as he confessed that he had made 7 spelling mistakes in his resume while applying to L&T. He also talked about how he got away with not knowing too much English in his initial days as L&T because he had to interact mostly with shop workers and union leaders. Here's a slice of that exclusive interview.
As new opportunity comes, and we think it is a big opportunity, we really take on with that, but non-core is a continuous process. What is core today may not be that core after 5 years.
So what is non-core for you today as you look at things and where things stand?
See, we want to be. I will tell you what we want to be. I would say one thing is new economy, the new technologies. So we will keep IT company, we will keep technology services company. We have created a new division called Smart World, and that is going to grow. Right now it is 1,500 crores, started from zero 3 years ago, and it will touch $1 billion in about end of the 5-year plan. That means another 3.5, 4 years. And then our project business, which is very complicated. We won't do, let's say, ordinary roads and elevated highway and stuff like that. But right now, you see, we are doing a lot of military projects in construction. There's nothing to do with defense. There's the construction part. Underwater construction, complicated construction, the border tunnels.
So you stick with that, or you don't want to stick with that?
No, this is our core.
Yeah.
And that is the building infrastructure. But infrastructure with 20 other companies or 10 other companies can do, we won't do. One or two companies, maybe three maximum in the country, those who can attempt to do, not that they all can do, but at least they will be qualified in the tendering process. So we'll do only those very, very complicated infrastructure.
Commerce Minister is now calling private investors to look at the possibility of getting private investment to move, to pick up. Do you see any signs of that? Because as you pointed out, capacity utilization, still well...
I really don't see any major investment forthcoming, because you can say 65% of those who invested heavily in the past are under financial restructuring with respect to banks to repay the loans and so on. And balance 30 to 40%, that cycle of investment is nearly over. You see, Reliance had tremendous liquidity and credibility, but their investment, whether it is Jio or whether it is petrochemical complex, is over. And L&T, what facility we had to create from engineering perspective, is already over. So people ask me, what are you going to invest on? So I said, if I find a fantastic opportunity to acquire, I'll acquire, but to the core, engineering only. I'm not going to acquire 4 more roads and 1 more power plant and so on.
Would you be interested in the government strategic divestment program of companies like, which have a defense play as well?
Well, we'll look at it when it comes, because there is a lot of talk, but it takes time to really come to the market. But we'll certainly look at that.
BEML would be something that you would consider?
We can. We can.
Have you expressed interest to the government?
No,
not yet.
Because it is not on the market yet.
But they have appointed advisors, but, so would...
A lot of advisors are appointed. We'll see what comes out of it.
But that would be something that you would actively look at?
I think we can look at it.
Okay.
But certainly not Air India.
Yes, you said very clearly aviation is not something that you would consider. But do you believe, are you feeling confident about the Air India divestment taking off, so to speak?
Well, if there is a will, it can take off, because the player could be global, provided simultaneously you also modify the direct...
FDI norms.
Right.
And you can catch that entire conversation today at 7 p.m. only on CNBC TV18. Well, L&T chairman making it clear that the conglomerate won't buy Air India, but there are buyers in line for Air India. We learned from sources that the government is in talks with some large business houses seeking their bids for Air India. Ashpreet Sethi, who broke that exclusive, is here with the details. Ashpreet, what stage are these talks in? Do we have the names, and what are the government's expectations from these business houses?
Well, as far as unofficial talks are concerned, several companies' names have come to the forefront. However, there has been no confirmation from the Civil Aviation Ministry or from the government as of now. But as we know, Indigo is the only one that has gone on record showing interest as far as Air India's international operations are concerned. But what we are picking up from sources right now is that at the 2 meetings of group of ministers, which is led by Finance Minister Arun Jaitley, there have been discussions as to how they are okay, or they might be mulling the idea of going ahead and ensuring that even a consortium of large business houses can be considered for bidding for Air India, or even taking over control. What we are also picking up from sources at this point of time is that demerger of international or domestic operations, as have been doing the rounds in news organizations, of course, is not something that the GOM has decided as of now on. In fact, the 5 points that the GOM is supposed to decide on, no decisions have been taken so far. However, we also pick up that as far as FDI norms or rules are concerned, that is something that the GOM might be looking at tweaking or recommending, because remember, right now, no foreign entity can directly invest in Air India. 49% FDI is allowed, but not in Air India. That is what the stance is right now. So we'll have to wait and see what happens during the next meeting, because remember, the government has already invited or floated the requests for proposals for bankers and legal experts who are supposed to decide what will be the divestment process, and they're also likely to hold road shows to lure more investors.
Okay, Ashpreet, thanks for joining in with those exclusive details. Let's get back to the market action of the day. After rallying for around a week now, markets took a breath today. The Nifty opened higher but witnessed a sell-off at higher levels. That index closed with almost flat with a negative bias. The Sensex also ended flat among the broader markets. The Bank Nifty mirrored the benchmark indices, ending at yesterday's levels. MIDCAPs, on the contrary, ended with a positive bias, as you can see on your screens. Fairly flattish, but down with up with a positive bias. Anuj Singhal is here with a wrap of today's trading action. Anuj, bulls taking a little bit of a breather today.
A bizarre day of trade today, in the sense that, after yesterday's breakout, there was absolutely no follow-through and the market spent the day in a narrow band. But really, the story of the day today was in the mid-caps, and the mid-caps also in the micro-caps, small caps. A lot of stocks were surging in today's trade. In fact, I would do a departure from the normal trend and would start with some of the mid-caps today. Jacob, Walchand Nagar, Rain Industries, all of them almost circuit up. Punj Lloyd, Jindal Saw, Tin Plate, most of these stocks up between 15 to 20% in today's trade. That was the frenzy in the mid and small caps. Some more F&O gainers today: BEML, Indiabulls Real Estate, and Chennai Petro. On the index, not too many stocks moved today. Probably your stock of the day was Tata Motors, considering the profile of the stock, though the biggest gainer was GAIL, and Kotak also moved in trade. On the losing end, Coal India and a couple of pharma names like Aurobindo and Sun Pharma were down. The market will now start talking about the Fed, and in general, in the past, the market's going to Fed event with long positions. So that's something we'll find out over the next couple of days.
On to a CNBC TV18 exclusive. JP Infratech's Committee of Creditors, or COC, is expected to hold a review meeting with the lenders and the insolvency resolution professional today. The committee is tasked with coming up with a plan to tackle the stressed assets. During today's meeting, the committee will discuss the Supreme Court order to JP Infra's parent company, Jayaprakash Associates. The Apex Court has asked the group to set aside 2,000 crore rupees to cover JP Infra's liabilities towards its home buyers. Singh is here with the details. Ritu, I believe the meeting could perhaps be going on. What is expected to be discussed, and can we expect some kind of clarity with respect to resolution today?
Well, yes, Kritika, the meeting with the lenders is ongoing and is expected to end within the next 1 hour. What we do understand is that this is the first time that the Committee of Creditors for JP Infratech is going to meet. In fact, our meeting today, this will be with all of the secured as well as unsecured lenders, but not the home buyers so far, as well as the insolvency resolution professional. What is on the agenda? Well, first, of course, is the idea of, collecting claims from all of the creditors. Right now, because the case is in Supreme Court, the home buyers case might be kept aside for now, but interim funding is another thing that could be looked at. Remember, the Supreme Court recently ordered Jayaprakash Infratech's parent company, Jayaprakash Associates, to set aside 2,000 crore rupees, as you mentioned, in the interest of the home buyers. And that is again something that the lenders are worried about, because remember, there are many common lenders like ICICI Bank and IDBI Bank between the two companies, and they do not want to jeopardize the future of one company where, it is trying to raise money by selling land bank, by transferring it to another company. That will not really help the problem. So funding is something that is crucial, and that is something that is likely to come up in today's meeting. However, do remember, this meeting is for Jayaprakash Infratech, not associates per se, but funding, again, as I said, is something that they will have to look at.
Okay, Ritu, thanks for that. From one exclusive to another, the insurance regulator has reportedly raised concerns with respect to TTK Group's intentions to sell 51% stake in Cigna TTK Health. Remember, the TTK Group had filed an application with the IRDA to sell its entire stake in Cigna TTK Health. Yash Jain is here with exclusive details. Yash, what is the cause of the insurance regulator's concerns?
Well, the insurance regulator IRDA on multiple locations has expressed the desire of bringing in more sustainable and sticky capital in the insurance space, and and the concerns around Cigna TTK transactions are in line with those intentions. What we are given to understand is that IRDA has raised certain questions around the Cigna TTK transaction, where the Indian promoter TTK Group has expressed the desire of selling its entire 51% stake to Manipal Group. Essentially, IRDA wants to understand the rationale behind the early exit of the Indian promoter from this health insurance JV. Why is it an early exit? Because Cigna TTK is just a 3-year-old company from which TTK has expressed a desire of selling its entire stake. We're also given to understand that the insurance regulator wants to understand how financially strong would be the next entity which would come in the form of a Manipal Group, just to get a sense on the sustainability of the new capital which will be pumped into the company. We have written to Cigna TTK on this particular story, and the company has said that the concerns and the questions raised by IRDA are a part of the normal due diligence, and they will remain compliant to all the queries which the regulator raises.
Okay, Yash, thanks for that. It's raining exclusives today. Government's crackdown on suspected shell companies has intensified. Sources tell us that yet another group of around 1 lakh directors of shell firms are under the government's lens. Remember, just last week, the Ministry of Corporate Affairs had disqualified over 1 lakh directors of shell companies for failing to meet the regulatory requirements. Timji Jaipuria is here with exclusive details. Timji, the government is working in full swing. What else have they found?
Yes, as you mentioned, government is working in full swing, and this time another set of 1 lakh directors are under scanner of these suspected shell companies. We are also understanding from our sources that close to about 1 lakh companies could be dissolved by end of this month, which are suspected to be shell companies. Apart from that, what has been going on is the fact that government has asked IBA and other regulatory and revenue enforcement agencies, DFS, etc., to come up with a list of beneficiaries who were actually taking benefit and were using this entire nexus of shell companies, so that once there is a list, they can start probing into the personal details of these beneficiaries. Apart from this, the funds that were deposited and were transacted by these people, both pre-demonetization and post-demonetization, is also under scanner. And so overall, apart from this, another move which is quite significant, that government is soon going to induct an early warning system with the ROC. So as and when there is a suspected transaction which is not meeting the regulatory requirements, this early warning system is going to warn the government of such transactions, highlight the name of the companies. So they were now warned that such transactions should be curbed at the inception itself, at the beginning itself, that once the transaction takes place, they can catch hold of the people who are misusing the system. So all in all, there's a clear-cut strategy now the government has formed to curb the menace of shell companies.
All right, Jimzi, thanks for that. We'll take a very quick break. On the other side, we'll take you to a colleague in Varanasi that has been, a college in Varanasi that has been
prominent slowdown that we've seen in FY17, and that really became even more prominent in Q1 of FY18. Let's start with the GVA data, which I've used for the past couple of years to analyze how exactly we've done in terms of GVA. Remember that FY16 we did close with a growth of around 7.9%, but that dipped to a growth of around 6.6% in FY17. Primarily, the reason for that was really what happened with industries and services. Industries in FY17 slowed down to 5.6% versus 8.8%. We had services which also slowed down to 7.7% versus 9.7%. Agri, however, outperformed. Now, if you look at the GVA more closely on a quarterly basis, in the past 5 quarters, you'll see the same trend come through. We started Q1 FY17 strong at 7.6%. We dipped below that 7% figure for 2 quarters continuously, and then a sub 6% figure for 2 quarters. Remember, which captured demonetization as well. Now, if you look at the other kind of data which we look at closely, the IIP. Remember that the IIP is also based on a new series and is revised, but that hasn't shown anything to write a home about either. For the month of June, impacted by probably some amount of GST, we saw a decline of 0.2%. In fact, I think it was multi-month lows for IIP at that point in time, and it was just about a meager growth on a sequential basis or a month-on-month basis that we saw, with 1.2% for IIP in the month of July. Now, however, leaving all of this aside, if you just talk about the export data that we are showing for China versus India, it actually looks like green shoots coming in for India. So if you look at the data for the exports of India, for example, in August was 10.3%. It recovered from a growth of around 4% in July and 4.39% in June. And if you look at the data as compared to China, China has actually been a bit sluggish. So for the entire year, yes, we've seen exports grow past 2 to 3 months. It was a bit sluggish, especially in June and July, but we've picked up in the month of August. Though my conversation with a couple of economists indicated that no, maybe the export growth could be something that we would like to see more on a sustainable basis, because it could probably be because of a favorable base which is impacting exports.
Now for a special story from our special series, Alarm Bajne Se Pehle Jago Re, a Tata Tea campaign in association with Network 18. Today we travel to Varanasi's Uday Pratap or UP College and see how this college has been a nursery of sorts for dozens of international players. Not only does this college prepare ground for the players, but also helps them secure a job in esteemed organizations. Take a look.
Anup Mins, Vishesh Bhriguvanshi, Trideep Rai, Barkha Sonkar, Arjun Singh and the famous Singh sisters. All of them have two things in common. They all play basketball and they are all products of Uday Pratap or UP College of Varanasi, which proudly boasts of producing more than 50 international players for India.
बहुत सारे नामों की सीरीज है। यहाँ से हॉकी में ओलंपियंस में विवेक, सुनील सेठ, राहुल सिंह, शैलेंद्र सिंह, पद्मश्री मोहम्मद साहिद भी यहाँ पे प्रैक्टिस करते थे।
The exploits of these players and the confidence instilled in them by the college has inspired many young talents from humble backgrounds to carry forward the legacy of their seniors.
कुछ करना है तो फिर यहाँ के डेली सुबह शाम दोनों टाइम मेहनत करते हैं। हमारे कोचेस जितने भी हमें बहुत सपोर्ट करते हैं, इसलिए हम लोग भी चाहते हैं कि हम लोग भी थोड़ा इंटरनेशनल प्लेयर बन सके।
2016 में अंडर 16 में ब्रॉन्ज मेडल लगा था और 2017 में अंडर 19 में इस बार हमारा सिल्वर मेडल लगा था।
The UP College also helps the players get jobs in the railways, Indian Army, PSUs and other companies through sports quota.
बच्चे देखते हैं स्पोर्ट में खेलने से हम ऊंचे उस पे जाएंगे, ख्यात मिलेगी, नेशनल खेलेंगे, इंटरनेशनल खेलेंगे, तो उसके अनुसार हमको जॉब भी मिल रहा है।
आप इंडिया के किसी भी सेक्टर में जाके देखो जहाँ पे जॉब है, जॉब की अपॉर्चुनिटी है, हमारे सारे प्लेयर एक प्लेयर वहाँ मिल जाएंगे।
Full of hopes and confident of realizing their dreams, the students of UP College exemplify India's sporting talent. For once, we can proudly say, Kheloge Kudoge, Banoge Nawab.
You too can become part of this change. If you think that sports should be made a compulsory part of school curriculum, please join our campaign by visiting jagore.com or giving a missed call on the numbers on your screen. Let me read it out for you, 7847 84444 to sign the petition.